All right, y'all. And without further ado, man, it is my privilege to introduce this man. He come to visit us from Arkansas, and I'm so excited to hear the story that he's brought with him. Mr. Victor V.
How you doing? No, thank you for having me. Is that your phone?
No, that's the one that I asked you about.
My name is Victor, and I'm an alcoholic. I get nervous up here. If I start jumping into Spanish, somebody wave or something. And I can't help it sometimes, But thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it. My sobriety date is October 20th, 1997, and for that I'm truly grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. I always get nervous up here, and I forget what I was going to say. But when I tell my story, I usually do the way they tells us in that beautiful book. How it was, what happened, and how it is today. Thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous. The short version is I started drinking, couldn't stop, ruined my life and everybody around me. Came to AA, and thank God for AA. The long version is I'm originally from the beautiful state of Texas, the broke part, over there by that border, and growing up, I was normal, dysfunctional family, I'm the oldest of 5, and I don't know if you can tell, I'm kind of Mexican, So growing up, everybody was at the house every weekend, every weekend somebody was at the house. My dad was cooking something or drinking something, and growing up, I always wanted to be like my dad. Like he was my hero, my dad, And I'm from a small town. That hotel where y'all keeping me today has got more people than my little town, man, I promise you. And growing up, everybody knew us. Everybody knew my dad, and everybody kind of knew us. So, like I said, every weekend people would be over at the house. I remember growing up as a kid running around with my cousins and everybody, and I would see my dad in the corner with my uncles in his muscle shirt and his Dickies, and he'd be out there drinking beer, and I'm like, that's what I want to be, man, a man's man, But that got a little bit out of hand, and as years passed by, and my dad started being the kind of person that we didn't know what we get when we get home. If you've been around that, then if not, you're blessed. But my dad started drinking a little bit more and doing other things, and heroin and other stuff, and it came to the point that I didn't want to be anything like my dad, like nothing. I'm the oldest of 5. And my mom's always been the hardest worker. They both were hard workers, but my mom was the one that kept us together, and she was the one that felt all the stuff that we felt because, the way my dad was living his life. And I remember growing up, she would always tell me, like, mijo, please don't get involved with that stuff. I started somehow, some way, I ended up in high school, and I'm the favorite one, so I wouldn't take the bus. She drives me to the school. And I remember when she dropped me out, she would always tell me, like, mijo, please stay away from that stuff. Like, you know what we have at home. You know what we're dealing with. Like, please. I don't know why I get like this. If these things start leaking, don't let that fool you. I'm a gangster, And I don't know if it's the glasses or I don't know what it is, But, and my mom, I used to tell her, I said, don't worry about it, Mom. I said, I see it. Like, you have nothing. And I meant it. I promised to you. I meant it. Like I said, I'm from the beautiful state of Texas, and they take football pretty serious over there, high school and all that. And I'm not no good at football. I'm like a 6, 7 string, I'll probably be a first string around here, but over there, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get kicked out, But in Texas, I was like 7th or 8th string, passing out water and everything. And this night, it was parents' night. Everybody was going to get to play. Everybody was going to get to play. And we're losing like 40-0 or something like that. And they scored on us again, and the coach is like, Victor, go on in there. And like, me? He goes, yeah. So I go out there, and I find a helmet. I never wore a helmet. I had to go find a helmet, and I go in there, and I'm standing there, and they kick that ball, and I see it coming, and I catch it, right? And I start running. Boom. And I'm running, right? And I keep running. And the next thing I know, I'm in the freaking end zone, right? And everybody went crazy, the whole state. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Rudy, where they pick them up. And well, that didn't happen to me at all. In my mind it did, but in reality it didn't happen, you know. But we still lost like 1,006 or something, you know. But what they used to do at the high school, and I'm so close to the border that after the game, some of them would shower, some of them wouldn't. They'd go in their football pads and they would just cross over the bridge and go to a local bar right there, dance, play some pool, because they'd serve to you. You know, as long as you got money, they'd serve you. And I'm old, so I'm talking back in the 80s, you know, back in the late 1800s, you know. So I'm 1980. So I'm sitting there and I'm walking and they're inviting me to go to this bar. And I'm like, I don't drink, man. Like, I don't drink. But they kept on telling that story. And every time they told it, I don't know, you ever met somebody from Texas, they exaggerate a little, you know, a little. So every time they told that story, they kept on adding something to it. Like it was 5 guys on you or this and that. And I like listening to the story. So I ended up going, right? So I'm walking into this bar and there's a gentleman in the door. And it's $5, free drinks all night. And I give him the $5, he gives me a glass. And I said, amigo, I don't drink. He goes, I don't care. Don't lose the glass because you got to pay another $5. I said, fine. So I go in there and I sit down and I'm sitting there and all my friends that are walking around and they're offering me something to drink. I'm like, no, man, like I don't drink, man. I don't drink. I don't. Then this beautiful girl showed up. I mean, not as beautiful as my wife, of course. Like, she's not as beautiful as my wife, but, you know, but beautiful girl showed up. Beautiful, man. And she walked up to me and she goes, you drink? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. You know? Yes. I wish I had a drink right now. And she went and she got my glass and she went and got in line and got me a tequila sunrise. And I always remember that because there's an old country song by the Eagles. Anyway, I love the Eagles. Anyway, so this is the best way that I can explain it. It seems like before that day, all my life, I'm walking around like this. I didn't know this wasn't normal. I thought everybody walked around like this. And when I took that first drink, it was like, and then I loved it. Loved it. I didn't drink every day because I was broke, but I wanted to drink every day. That night, I joked, I danced. I didn't fight. Well, I thought I did. I didn't fight. My brother's a fighter. I'm the talker. My brother's always been the fighter. But anyway, so, you know, and ever since then, you know, I started drinking. Now, I didn't start drinking every day because it was just not possible for me. And anyway, but everything that I did and every time that I got around people, every time that I could, I wanted to drink. And I didn't get in trouble in high school, just a little bit, you know, a couple of fights, but nothing major, you know. So I could not connect the way I was drinking because for me, it was like I'm in high school, man. That's what high school people do. You know, I'm in 9th grade, 8th grade, or 10th grade. Like, that's what people in high school do. We get in a little bit of trouble. Somebody tells it, but nothing major, you know. And I was messing up in a couple of classes, but there was no way I could connect the alcohol and all that stuff that I was doing with the way my life was turning out, you know. So somehow I ended up being a senior in that school, and I'm eating fish sticks on Friday probably, in the cafeteria, and this lady showed up. Beautiful lady, beautiful. And we started talking, she started talking, I said a joke, she laughed, she put a piece of paper, I signed it, and I signed up for the Army for 2 years, right? Yeah. Signed up for the Army, man, and after graduation, I was supposed to catch that bus from where I was at up here to St. Louis, Missouri, to go to Fort Leonard Wood. And before I went up there, you know, by that time I was smoking weed and all that, a couple of other things. And my friend's like, you know, that stuff is a lot more expensive once you leave Texas. And I'm like, really? I said, no. He goes, man, if I were you, I would take some, you know, because it cost a lot of money. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, right? You know, that makes sense. You know, you're a smart guy, man. So I got a Dorito bag. I emptied it. I put the 1/4 pound of that stuff in the bottom, put the Doritos on top. I got on that bus and I made it all the way. Don't try it now. I'm telling you, man. I've been watching this show called Border Cross. They got, you don't want to try any of that anymore, man. But anyway, I made it all the way to Fort Leonard Wood, and as soon as I got there, and I have a lot of respect for people in the military. You know, if it wasn't for them doing what they do, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today. And I promise you, I don't take any of that. For any kind of freedom, I do not take for granted today. And thank you all of you served. But as soon as that big gentleman got on that bus and told me that I had 10 seconds to get off, and 5 had already passed by, I knew the Army was not for me, man. And that man was hot, got us off the bus, made push-ups, made us run, threw my pictures of my mom, threw them everywhere, made me do push-ups, and I'm like, man, what? Anyway, so, and he wouldn't calm down. I was like, calm down, man. So I got there like on a Thursday, and you know, Thursday, Friday, we were just kind of, they put you in a place, and then the couple of next days later, they give you your uniform and the stuff, the equipment that you need before you send you to the boot camp. And one of those nights, they put me as a fire watch. And from what I remember, because I had too much fun growing up, when I remember fire watch, basically what they wanted me to do is, if the building caught on fire, I needed to wake everybody up and be like, hey man, go, the building's on fire, you know. But I think what they wanted me to do is, because believe it or not, there's people who sign up that when they get there, they're like, oh, I want to go home. And sometimes they want to leave without permission, and they want you to, I think they wanted me to tell it if somebody was. Lo and behold, the night that I had it, there was a gentleman that wanted to leave because his grandma was already waiting for him. And I'm like, amigo, no, like, hey, like, no. I said, why don't we smoke some of this? You know, kind of calm me down. So we did that, and the next day they catch me. You know, they catch me, and they wanted to send me to Fort Leavenworth, which is a lot worse than Fort Lost in the Woods. And I always consider myself a gangster. You know, I'm from Texas, so when they caught me, I do what all gangsters do. I cried, you know. My dad's an addict and this and that, and like, poor Victor, and they believe me. You know, they believe me, and they gave me, after meeting with people and doing what they did, you know, a couple of weeks later, they gave me a general discharge. And as I'm going through my inventory, there's a cab waiting after all that stuff, and they asked me to leave. There's a cab waiting out there. Sergeant Strunk is going through my inventory, and he's going through my stuff, and all of a sudden, there's like a news flash. And Iraq is invading Kuwait. You know, and for a brief moment, I felt that once again, I had let go of an opportunity that I could have been a part of something that was good. Because I've missed opportunities before, whether it's in baseball, whether it's in football, whether it's in anything, meeting anything. Sometime at the end, I always messed it up. And I still can't connect what I'm doing to the way my life is turning out. And for a brief moment, you know, I felt shame. I felt regret. And then the guy honked, and poof, I just forgot about it. I got on that car, went home, and my dad's like, what happened? I said, well, something's wrong with my foot, you know. If you got kids, he knows. He knows I was lying to him. And once again, another disappointment. Another disappointment. You know, and I do what all gangsters do. I'm moving with my girlfriend because her dad's paying all the bills, you know. She's the oldest of 2 daughters and the favorite, and for some reason she likes me since 6th grade. I've known this lady since 6th grade. And anyway, when I get back home, I'm moving with her, and he gives me a job at his company, and I'm working there. And it's hard to get fired when you work for your girlfriend's dad, who also loves you a lot. Like, that man did everything for me. And all I kept on being is another disappointment. And another disappointment. And anyway, so I'm sitting there in this apartment that he's paying for his daughter for, because I'm a gangster, and me and my girlfriend are watching TV. And back then, you know, there was shows called like it's either 90210 or Melrose, one of those old shows, man. And I'm watching this show with my girlfriend, and you know, I'm in the couch, and she's sitting here, and I'm hugging her, and we're watching this episode, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and it's this guy who I don't even like. This dude, I don't like him. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing, watching TV. He goes, you want to go do some armed robberies? I'm like, yeah. Why not? You know, I leave that beautiful woman, not as beautiful as my wife, but I leave that beautiful woman to go do some armed robberies with this dude that I don't even like this dude. But there I go. And there was 3 of us, 1 car, 1 gun, because we're broke. I wanted to use the gun in the first one, but it wasn't my gun. I wanted to use the gun in the second one, but they were cousins, and you know, I'm not blood related. So I got to use the gun in the third one, and to tell you this as short as possible, that's the gas station with the camera. So after I got my whole $80, yeah, came out on TV the next day. So I'm a gangster. What do? I run. And at this point, my dad was working in North Carolina. He was a cotton gin guy, you know, hard worker all his life. And what he used to do is he used to maintain those cotton gins off season, and then during the season he would run them. And anyway, so I get on this bus and I go up to North Carolina with my dad. And after a few weeks, months there, I finally tell him, I said, Dad, I think I'm in trouble. He goes, what happened, mijo? I said, I did some armed robberies and they're looking for me. He's like, man. He goes, you just got two choices, man. He goes, you can turn yourself in, or you can go to Mexico and never, ever come back. Well, I ain't going to Mexico because I ain't that type of Mexican, right? Look at that. I ain't that type of Mexican, man. I love America. I love it, man. And so I turned myself in with my mom. You know, I went and I turned myself in, and I'm sitting there, and the DA happened to be in the police station, and he's like, man, I'll give you 15 years if you plead guilty for this. And I'm like, 15 years? He goes, you'll be all right. You only do 5. You'll be out. Plenty of time. You're young. And I look at my mom, and I'm like, what do I do? She's like, well, what can you do? I said, well, I need to go think about it. So I go to the county. I'm still in the county. I'm in the county jail at that point. And I don't know if you've ever been in the county jail. If you haven't, don't go. It's not as cool as people tell you. All those ramen noodle recipes and all that. But I got to the county jail, and there's this guy who thinks he's an attorney giving me advice about, you know, don't take the 15, ask for 25. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, they want to have you on paper. So the longer your sentence, the more. I said, man, that doesn't make sense, man. So I call my mom once again because I'm a gangster, and I said, Mom, what do I do? She goes, mijo, what can you do? They got you on camera. They got these witnesses. They take it. What can you do? So I said, okay, I'll take it, man. Okay, what can I do? I'll take it. So I catch the train to the county courthouse, and it's the state of Texas versus Victor Velasquez. And you know, in my mind, when I woke up that morning, I had no choice but to go up to this courthouse and take 15 years. That's what I was going to do. And I'm at this courthouse, and I'm standing in front of this judge, and my mom's back here, my sister, and my little brother. And, you know, I'm the favorite, so she's crying. You know, my little sister, they're crying. I'm a gangster. What am I doing? I'm crying, you know. And the judge looks at me and says, man, what are you offering this dude? And the DA is like, 15 years. He'll be out in 5. And he goes, how old are you? I said, I'm 18, sir. Did you finish school? Yes, sir. You know, joined the army, but, you know, my foot, lying again. My foot. And he just paused, and he's like, man, we got this program called boot camp. I'm going to send you there for 90, and that's all I heard. He said, I'm going to send you there for 90 days, and that's all I heard. You know what the first thing I thought when he said 90 days? I'm going to be gone all summer. Because I'm selfish. That morning, I was going to sign for 15 years. And this beautiful man, out of the kindness of his heart, decided to give me 90 days. And the first thing I think about is I'm going to be gone all summer. That's how selfish, and I don't see it. I don't see it at all. And it's crazy that I do the boot camp in prison, and I didn't do the boot camp in the army. Eats me up today still. Anyway, I go into this boot camp, and I'm marching, and I'm eating. So I'm feeling a lot better because I'm exercising, I'm eating, and I'm sleeping, and I'm watching all these videos from substance abuse. They got this gentleman, Hollywood Henderson, who plays for the most beautiful team in the world, the Dallas Cowboys, of course. 5 Super Bowl. Anyway, the Dallas Cowboys. And he's got this video that says, hey, you know what? Stop. Like a substance abuse. And he goes, stop. You need to stop. You know, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you keep on getting. And I'm like, that makes sense. You know, and my mom came to visit me, and my girl came to see me. And I remember sitting across the table, and I said, Mom, I'm done with this. I said, I'm taking a shower. There's like 30 people there. Little did I know I was going to end up in a 5,000 man unit, man. But at that moment, it was like I'm pooping and there's like 3 people next to me and talking to me while I'm pooping. I said, this ain't for me. I said, I want to go home. I want to be the son that you want me to be. I want to work. I don't care about anything. And I meant it. I promise you I meant it. I go in front of this judge and he goes, Victor, you did great. You did awesome. You marched. You helped people with their GED. You did all this. You see, because when I'm in a place like that, I'm okay. Now listen. It's when you let me out. And the judge looked at me. He goes, Victor, all you got to do is stay away from that. And I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. I'm pretty smart. I can do that. It makes sense. I didn't know I couldn't do it. I didn't know. I thought I could. 3 months later, I'm right back at it. Like nothing. When they say that you start just where I left off, that's exactly what happened. And for the next year and a half, it's just horrible. Horrible. I'm still working there. I get in trouble, and I'm a gangster, so I steal from my family because they're not going to call the cops on me, you know? This and that, and I'm just doing everybody horrible. Horrible. And there's moments of clarity where I want to stop because everybody's on me. And I love my mom. Of course I love my mom. Love that girl. Love that girlfriend I had. And they're like, please stop, baby. You know, and then I'm like, I'm going to stop. You see, and I can stay stopped. I can stay stopped for 26, 27 days. And then all of a sudden, by the time I know it, I'm drunk. And I don't know how to stop. I don't know how. Powerlessness is not only that I don't have the power, I don't have a choice. A choice is, I'm going to go to Brahms, I'm going to get a chocolate or a strawberry. That's a choice. People in drug court, they give them a year of act right or 20 years or 5 years in prison. When they end up in this part, that's not a choice. Nobody's going to choose prison. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't control it. Back then, they used to have these little machines, you know, if you're not home, you leave a message, and then people will push the button in the message. Not everybody had cell phones back then. My girlfriend did. I didn't, you know. I walked around like it was mine. Anyway, so I get home during lunch, and there's a little machine, and I push the button, and it's my probation officer. He wants me to call him. I call him, and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm on my lunch break. He goes, I need you to be in my office right now. I said, I got to work. He goes, do you want to go to prison? I said, no, sir. I won't wait. So I get there, and as soon as I get there, I see my mom, and I see my girlfriend, and they're just telling it on. Telling it, like, what I'm doing, well, that. And my mom's about this tall, man. And when I left there, I cussed that lady out so much. Told her that it was her fault I might be in prison. That if she just minded her own business, I'd be okay. When I made amends through this beautiful program, she said she wished I would have just hit her than said the things that I said. There's a lot of power in this program, man. A lot of power. But anyway, so they gave me a UA. I came up dirty for a lot of stuff. And he's like, I want you to go into this treatment center tomorrow and you're probably going to be there for 28 days. He goes, if you lose your job, I don't care. So the next day I go to this treatment center and this guy's giving me my evaluation and he's asking me like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, well, your girlfriend's saying all this stuff. I said, man, I'm fixing to leave her. And you know how that goes. He goes, what about your mom? I said, my mom wants me to get married. I don't want to get married. I'm just turned 21. I'm an Irish Mexican. I was born in St. Patrick's Day. It was a little bit after March. It was in the beginning of April. So I had just turned 21, man. I said, I don't want to get married, get kids. I said, no, I don't want any of that, man. He goes, you know, you working? I said, yes, sir. How about your community hours? I said, those are done. Your fines? I said, those are paid because her dad paid for them. You know? He goes, why don't you go home? He goes, I'll call your probation officer. We'll straighten this out. We need this bed for somebody who really needs it, you know. So I get back to my compartment or my girlfriend's apartment, and the machine is ringing. I call him, and he goes, I don't know what you said. He goes, but if you come up dirty for any kind of drugs, I'm going to put you in prison. I said, fine. Like I said, I'm an Irish man. I had just turned 21. And back then, this is back in the 90s, the late 1900s, 1991, 2, or 93, to be honest. He didn't care about my drinking because he more the drugs. Back then, what they used to do, at least in my little neighborhood, I had a truck and the window in the back would go down. I had an 87 GMC anyway. The window would go down and you'd put your radio as loud as possible and you would go to this park and you would go in circles. They call it cruising. You go cruising and nobody can hear anything, man. But everybody thinks anyway. So I'm riding my music loud in our park and then everybody's going around. You park backwards so you can open up the gate and you see everybody passing by and people will be passing by and I'm drinking. And people would come by, hey, you want some of these drugs? I said, no, man. I say no to drugs. Nancy Reagan, no. I say no to drugs, And everybody's offering me and I'm just drinking, And my cell phone, my girlfriend's cell phone rings and it was this big and I pick it up and I'm like, hello? And she's like, mijo, come home, man. Like, you know how my dad gets when you're like that. I don't have DUIs. I've heard people say they've got a DUI in every state. I don't have DUIs. I think I got one public intoxication because somebody told it on me, man. So I get in that car, I don't make it home. I kill 2 people driving drunk. I killed a 21-year-old man and an 11-month-old baby. I get it because, I felt the same way. I've been a coward all my life. The only reason I didn't kill myself is because I'm a coward. I've been a coward all my life. And when they told me that, like, what do I do? What do I do? And I wish I could tell you that ever since then, I haven't had a drink. When they say cunning, when they say baffling, when they say powerful, I can't stop. I can't stop. You can't love me. You can't threaten me. You can't bribe me. I can't stop. I want to stop. Can't stop. DA shows up and he offers me 10 years for all of it, the armed robberies and the manslaughters. I said, where do I sign? What do I do? And I would get into moments of shame because it eats me up. It would eat me up. Like it would eat me up. And I'm the guy in the county jail that when the Dallas Cowboys are playing, like I'll turn that TV off. And like, now what? Beat me up. I just couldn't stop. I got into prison and I think I lasted 3 weeks in the county jail and they put me in prison. And I was so fresh off the street, I was still burping McDonald's, is what they would say, man, And I did what people in prison did. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd shave, put my clothes on, get my ID, go to the bars, get out, go to the kitchen, do my thing in kitchen, go take a shower after work, go outside, play some handball, volleyball, talk to my homeboys, and repeat. And I learned how to make hooch. Don't try this recipe, but a little bit of yeast, some starch, some sugar. Let it sit and breathe for a while. Add more sugar, stir it up, cipher it. Changes the way I feel. Can't stop. I can't stop. And every night, when I'm sitting there in my bunk, just by me, I can talk trash all day and all that, act like everything's okay. But every night, when I'm in that bunk and it's just me, how did I end up here? Like, look what you did. Why can't you stop? All these promises I made, all these people that love me and all these people that I love that I want to stop. Can't. Join the church. Got baptized. Nothing against church. Love church today. Can't stop. Got baptized. Still couldn't stop. I had a new cellie come in, right? Straight off the street. He weighed like 30 pounds when he got into my cell. He became a Muslim. Got a book, got the thing, and he next thing I know, he's working out, using big words, and I'm like, maybe I need to become a Muslim, I became a Muslim. I ordered the rug, I got the hat, I got the Quran. Then I found out they don't eat pork. And I'm like, I can't do that, can't do that, you know. Assalamu alaikum, if there's any Muslims here, but, you know, and I kept on trying things. Became a vegetarian for 2 years, didn't eat beef or pork. Missed those two. I don't know what the heck I was thinking, you know. Still can't stop. During this time, there was a beautiful man who became the new substance abuse counselor in that prison. And what this beautiful man did is after work, he would go to his home group, he would grab some of y'all, and he would bring them back into that meeting. And before I forget, if you do H&I, if you take meetings to prison or county jails or places where people don't have access, thank you so much. Because if it wasn't for the hard work that y'all do, people like me wouldn't be here. My mom wouldn't have a son like she does today, or the workers, or all that stuff. So I know it's hard because we're idiots sometimes in there. But if you go to these county jails, thank you so much. Anywhere you take this meeting. So this beautiful man would take these meetings in there, go home. He started sponsoring people there. And then those people started sponsoring. And about 2 years into it, you know, it's getting kind of big. And I'm working in the kitchen, and a friend named Earl Davis, you know, a white dude with 2 big old lightning bolts here that I met when I first got there. You know, if you don't know what those like, don't worry about it. But if you know, you know. And he came up to me and he said, man, I've been going to these meetings, man. You need to go. And he didn't know what I was in there for. Nobody knew. No, anyway, you know. But he was telling me that he was going to these meetings. And I met Earl when I got there in 93. And this is like 94, 95, 96, 96. And I seen how he behaved and what he did and what he stood for. And when he came and asked me to go to these meetings, I'm like, what's this? But it intrigued me because if he could change. So I go to this meeting and I'm sitting in the back because I'm cool, right? Not that you're not, I'm not saying anything against anybody here. But I'm sitting way in the back because I'm cool. You know, I got my starched iron whites. I don't know why I wear it in prison. I don't know. But I got this starched on and I'm all cool and my homeboy's in the back and there's a guy telling his story and I'm over there running my mouth. I'm just running my mouth. And for some reason, God saw it fit for me to shut up for a few seconds. And this beautiful man was explaining the doctor's opinion about the obsession and the allergy and all that stuff. And for the first time in my life, for the very first time in my life, I knew why I couldn't stop. I knew it. I asked Sonny to be my sponsor, and he asked me, you know, what are you willing to do? And I do the famous answer, I'll do anything. Anything, you know. I wanted you to write this. Well, I don't want to write, you know. That wasn't me. You know, he said, Victor, man, if you want a life like you never had before, you need to do things you've never done before. And this is one. It's simple. And he gave me my first assignment, and I started doing my assignments, you know. You see, because when I came in here and I would hear you talk, I can relate on how you drink. I can relate to that all day long. I can relate how you drink, how it makes you feel, how you can't stop, all that stuff. I'm there. And you say, God. And you know, my first question when I caused that accident is I was doing a lot of horrible things back there. You know, I'm from the border town and I was part of a little bit of everything. And I go to prison for that. You know, my question is, why me? Why not y'all? Why me? You know, why did I cause that accident? Why didn't I die right there and then? You know, and every time I ask for help, like that's what happens. I end up in jail or I end up like that. So when they talked about God, like I just didn't get it. But I still made a promise to myself and I went through those steps. When we got to step 3, you know, I told Sonny, he said, Sonny, you know, that was the first time I held hands with the man in prison, right? Like the only time, held hand in prison. I'm kneeling down in this gym with this man holding hands, saying that 3rd step prayer. Crying. I don't know what, like this, I think it's the glasses, man. I don't know. But, you know, he said, you know what this 3rd step means? I said, no, Sonny. He goes, Victor, when you turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand them, from that point forward, your life is none of your business. Where you end up, who you marry, where you work, whether the Dallas Cowboys win or not, that's none of your business. Your only job is to prepare yourself to be a maximum service to everybody around. You know, and my relationship with God, I said, Sonny, I don't know how to have a relationship. My only relationship was with that bottle. That's it. That's my longest relationship. Nothing beat that bottle. Nothing. It didn't matter what it did to me. I'm right. That was the longest relationship. I don't know how to have a relationship. He said, Victor, a relationship with God is like a relationship with y'all. You don't know me. You might not even like me. But if we meet every day for 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes grow to 10 minutes, we can become friends. Good friends. And we can see this path together. But I just got it. And that's the way my relationship with this God started. In the beginning, it was just I would open up my locker and I'd get on my knees and pray. And if I heard somebody coming, I would act like I was looking in my locker. Got to the point I didn't care. It's none of my business. I'm going through this prison and I got to get out of prison. Oh, my God. Sorry, I got to get out of prison. So I'm working these steps and I'm going through the steps. And the years pass by and the Cowboys are losing another 1,000-0 probably. There's like 5 minutes left, and there's this guy running around in the hall talking about his favorite team is whoever beats the Cowboys, and he got on my nerves. I bet at $10, which is in prison is like $1,000 probably. So we bet $10. The clock is ticking. Of course, the Cowboys throw another interception. Tony Romo or one of them. At the last minute, bring your hopes so high, and then anyway. So I go to my cell. I take my shirt off, put my boots on, put the baby powder on, go to the day room, and he's like, "Where's my money?" I said, "Homeboy, you ain't getting paid." Now what? And I said a lot more things, that I heard it from a song or something, acting tough, I'm not a fighter, he was just a little bit more scared than I was, and I knew it because he had just made parole or something, And I did all that scene, and then I'm going back to my cell, and it bothered me. I've done other horrible things, worse things than that. Never bothered me because I always felt if you were man enough to end up in that prison, that's it. You wanted to act like a man, but anyway, so never bothered me. It bothered me. And I go to Sonny and I tell him, and he goes, "Mijo, you're probably going to have to make amends." I said, "Sonny, I can't." I said, "I'm in prison, man. I can't. He goes, "If you want that life you never had before." I said, "Sonny, you know what? I can't." I ended up going to my cell, and for some reason at this point, my relationship with this God was a lot stronger than it had ever been. Next thing I know, I find myself on my knees, and I just say, "God, please give me the courage to do the things that you want me to do because I don't know what to do." Next thing I know, I'm packing that bag with bad money, soap, and deodorants and all that stuff, and I paid him double because I was late. Paid him double. I go to the day room and I give him his money, and we didn't become best friends. I don't know what happened to him. He's not here. Surprise! No, I don't know what happened to him, but I know what happened to me, and I'm free. Every suggestion that they gave me, it's hard. It was difficult because I'm not used to doing that. But the more I do it, the easier it becomes. When the state of Texas says 10 years, guess what? Amen, 10 years. So in 2003, I get out and I go visit my grandma. My brother came to pick me up, and we went to go visit my grandma in Texas, where I'm from, because she was getting older. And I'm walking up there, and my dad sees me. He goes, "¿Qué pasó, mijo?" And I'm like, "Hey." He goes, "What happened?" I said, "I just got out of prison." He goes, "You got any money?" I said, "I got they gave me $200 for 10 years. And I bought some cigarettes. And next thing I know, I said, "Dad, I got about 120. I said, he goes, "Let me hold 60. I said, "Dad, man, I don't even know where I'm sleeping tonight." He goes, "You're sleeping here with your grandma, man. I didn't give him the $60. He reminded me what kind of son I was. And these things just started. You see, I used to have a big resentment against my dad. Big resentment. Horrible. Blamed him for everything. Everything. Blamed him, maybe was loud about it, let everybody know what I thought. And thank God for a sponsor who tells me about myself. Because when I told him all this stuff, you know what he asked me? "What kind of son were you? Did you ever lie to him?" And I said, "To his face." "Did you ever cheat him?" "Yeah." "Steal?" "Yeah." "Embarrass him?" "Yes." That's what I can work on. And anyway, so I started crying because, and cell phones now aren't this big, they're this big. And my brother comes and it's my mom. She goes, "Mijo, you already with your guys?" I said, "Yeah, Mom." She goes, "Mijo, come to Arkansas. You've been gone for 10 years. Spend 6 months here with me, then go back to Texas." And I'm like, Arkansas? What part of Texas is Arkansas? I don't know what part of Texas. So like every gangster, I'm moving with my mom, I'm moving with my mom, and I got to Arkansas. I called Sonny. I said, Sonny, how are we gonna do this sponsorship? He goes, I can't sponsor you from. I'm not saying that's the right way or wrong way. It's not. I'm not. This is just what happened to me. He said, I don't want to sponsor you from Texas. You need to go to a meeting, pick a sponsor that you can see and they can see you. And that way you can work the steps. He goes, but I can't sponsor you if I don't want to. He goes, find you a sponsor there. Not that he doesn't believe in long distance. At this point, he felt that I needed, and I'm glad he did. So I got this sponsor that I don't like. I can't stand him, and I started doing these steps because he used to show up with this big old Rolex to the meeting. I'm like, that dude ain't no alcoholic. I don't know nothing. I heard his story from living in a tent to where he's at now, and that's God. I mean, higher power. I call it God. I don't want to. Anyway, so I'm going through these things, and I'm living with my mom, and I'm going to these meetings, and some guy offered me a job, painting. And when I tell you I ain't that type of Mexican, I ain't that type of Mexican, man. I don't like the work. I don't like that painting. But I needed a job, so I started painting, right? And I'm painting, and I'm painting, and I'm hating it, and I'm telling my sponsor how much I hate it. But but I also realized that I'm making a little bit. $10 an hour sounded like a lot, because when I got locked up, $3 an hour was minimum wage. But anyway, so I'm going to these meetings at night. You have a 12 o'clock meeting, a 6 o'clock meeting, an 8 o'clock meeting, and on Fridays and Saturdays you have a candlelight. So I'm going to all these meetings, and I'm seeing all these older gentlemen, and I was young back then, and I'm like, I was getting tired of y'all. Going to Brahms, going bowling, going camping. I'm like, man, and they had this big camp out. And they were inviting me, and I'm like, I don't want to go. I ain't going. Forget that. I'm done. I'm done with these old people, man. Like, I'm done. Now I'm the old one, man. So what do I end up doing? I end up going because I ain't got nothing else to do. And I go up there, and for some reason, Spanish is easy for me. And they were looking for somebody to work at an office that spoke Spanish, and I said yes. And I told them, I said, I just got out of prison, man. I did 3 armed robberies, 2 manslaughters, aggravated assault. I said, I don't know. She goes, just try it. I went and tried it, and the lady, it was a title company. When you buy a house, all those papers that you sign, and it's only 30 years, don't worry about it. So I go in there, and I tell her, and she goes, I want to give you the job. If you steal from me, you just go back to prison, and I hire somebody else. She goes, but if you learn, you can make a career out of this. And 4 years ago, I ended up opening my own little title company, man. And it's like because I'm a felon, it's like working at a bank, kind of, So anyway, I met this lady. I'm going to get out of prison. I'm already out of prison. I met this lady in recovery. 30 days later, she moved in. Next thing I know, she's pregnant. I'm like, oh my. We have a little girl, and I'm at this time, I'm getting busier at work, and it's stressful because I drown in a glass of water sometimes. And I get home, and I'm stressed, and I'm angry, and I'm frustrated. I'm hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And I walk in there, and I see my wife cooking. I see my little Charlotte in the floor, and she's out there, and I go in there and like, hey, what's for dinner? She goes, fish sticks and macaroni and cheese, not the shell, the elbow. And I said a couple of fish sticks. Fish sticks? Because, I'm the favorite. My mom, fresh flour tortillas, all that stuff, genuine. Great. Fish sticks. I say some things, she says some things, and I walk into the living room, and I see my little girl, Charlotte, and I pick her up, right? And I put her little butt right here, and she's playing with my ears. And then it hits me. She's 11 months old. And at that moment, I knew what I took from somebody. I always thought I knew. I always thought I knew the damage that I did. But when I was holding my 11-month-old baby there, these things just started leaking. Call my sponsor. And he's like, now you're ready to make amends. You see, when I make amends, it's not to relieve me. It's not those $20 that I took from you. It's how I made you feel when I took those $20. It's how you can't trust people around you. You got to hide your purse. How I hurt your feelings. How I hurt you because I stole those. It's not those $20. And until I learned the damage that I caused in my experience, I can't make amends because I want to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Because if I think it's just the $20, I'm going to do it again. You know, I go in there and I hug my wife. I have about 6 servings of those freaking fish sticks, man. Nowadays, sometimes now on Facebook, I'll put for what's for dinner, and everybody's like, fish sticks. I no, I'm just not fish sticks, you know. But it just reminds me that this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Like, I forget. You know, my mom worked at a chicken plant, hanging freaking chickens. When I'm being a gangster in prison, this lady is hanging freaking chickens for a living. And she would get off of work on Friday, drive 12 hours to Texas, see me on Saturday for 4 hours, spend her hard-earned money on a hotel, see me for another 4 hours on Sunday, and then drive back to hang chickens. I remember seeing her with her hands all swollen up and from the little cuts from those freaking knives. And I remember telling her, because there's a story in that book where the guy tells his wife, I just want to do whatever you want, whenever you want, if you give me that opportunity. And I remember telling her that. I said, Mom, you know, when I get out, if for some reason I make it out of here, all I want to do is do whatever you want, whenever you want. Just anything. You know, so I'm living with her. And she's like, Mijo, I need you to cut the grass. You know what I say? It's too hot. I forget. That's why I still go to 3 meetings a week. I have a sponsor that has a sponsor, and I help a few men go through these beautiful steps the way somebody helped me. There's nothing special about me. I'm not tougher. I'm not smarter. All I had was the willingness and the desperation to stay sober. And the formula's right there. I don't have to. The steps are like working out. I don't think working out makes sense to me. I never understood that. Paying something to go tell me to lift this heavy stuff up and down. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. But if I want to be in shape, if I want to have those guns, that's what I got to do. So it doesn't matter if I believe it. It doesn't matter if I whine about it, if I complain, if I tell you, as long as I do it. And it's if I do it, in 30 days, in 90 days, I'm going to pass by that mirror and I'm going to be like, damn, Jesse, look at that. Because it happens automatically. All I got to do is do the work. You know, this beautiful program saved my life. And once again, if you take meetings to these prisons, these treatment centers, I know we're hard in there and we're dumb, but thank you. Because if it wasn't for people like y'all carrying this beautiful message, people like me wouldn't be here. You know, my dad passed away about 8 years ago, and before he passed away, there was a guy in the meeting who shared his 10-second hug story. He goes, man, I was resentful with so-and-so, and my sponsor said, give him a 10-second hug, and I just went up to him, and I gave him a hug, and I didn't let go, and that's what I did. And next thing I know, this thing's leaking. My dad's never seen him cry. Leaking. And he's telling me how proud he is of me, and I'm telling him how I'm sorry that I was the son that I was, and a few weeks later, he passes away. You know, my mom doesn't work. It took me 2 years to get her out of that chicken plant, you know. And I don't say that to say, oh, Victor, no. And you know, you heard my story. Like, what do I have to complain about? What do I have to complain about? Money, taxes, diesel prices, complaining about my Cadillac problems. If I get what I deserve to be kicked in the face every day, man. Brought back to life, and let's do it again. But this program gave me freedom. It gave me the ability to love and the ability to be allowed to be loved. It introduced me to a power that I choose to call God, that when I wake up in the morning, that God is right there, and He is ready to give me all of His power to help me face any day. And you know what the beautiful thing is? He feels the same way about everybody in this planet. You know, like I said, there's nothing special about me. I love this program. This is what saved my life. And if you're new here, just keep coming back. Keep coming back and do the work. And by the time you know it, you're going to be up here telling them. That I heard a speaker say, this is like our Yelp review. We're letting you know how AA works, you know. And if you heard this story, this is how we know. I have another boy named Ruben, you know, my second boy. I named him Ruben after my brother because he's got 4 daughters, you know, and he never had a boy. And when I was in prison, whenever I needed to feel normal, or I was tired of seeing concrete and steel, I would just write him a letter and say, baby, can you come see me, please? Because, like, I'm losing it. And that, like nothing, he'd show up, drop everything. So I named him Reuben, after my brother. And then my wife got pregnant again. I should have bought a TV, but she got pregnant again, you know. She got pregnant again, and I was going to name him Victor because I want a junior. I'm a junior, you know. So I'm telling my wife, she goes, why don't you name him after my dad? It's not like I'm naming him after your dad. What's wrong with him? He had his chance. You know, he's got 2 daughters also. I said, nah, I'm going to name him Victor. I want a junior. And then Ruben's listening, and he's like, I want to be your junior. So what's my kid's name? Stephen, after my father-in-law. When he was born, you know, my wife wanted to have him like at a bathtub place. I forgot what it's called, not the hospital. So we went up there. They're like, no, but you got about 4 or 5 more hours. Go home and pack. We went home and packed. It wasn't 4 or 5 hours. That baby was on his way. And I heard the scream, and I walk into the hallway. We're all adults. And she's all on all fours in the hallway. And I look. She goes, the baby's coming. I said, no, baby, no. It's not coming. I said, I can pick you up, put you in the car. She goes, it's coming. And I look. I said, no, baby, it's not coming. And then I look again, and it's like, whoop, the head comes out. So I call 911, right? And they're like, what's your name? Victor Velasquez, V-E-L. And I'm like, hey, my wife is having a baby. And they're going through all this. And next thing I know, I see the ears, right? And then I put my hand out there, and I catch them. Boom! And I delivered my baby, right? And the ambulance came. They took her away. And I'm packing my kids up. And I show up and I joke once in a while. Once in a while, I'll do a joke. So when I got into the hospital, I'm like, I know somebody owes me some money because I delivered that baby, you know? I got that good insurance, and I didn't get nothing, 0. Probably got me. But, you know, the nurses walked out, the doctor came in, and she seemed kind of serious, and she told us that our baby had Down syndrome, you know, and it scared me because I didn't know what it was. It scared me that I had to protect him from y'all, what if you're mean to him, because he grabs people's butt. We're not, 9 times out of 10, everybody's okay, but there's always that person and I get it, you know, I get it, but I lived in a lot of fear because of that, but, you know, I'm not God. You know, God's got a plan for every one of us. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for Lenny for helping me with this tie, and thank you, Sherman, for helping me spill stuff right here. Nah, he didn't. I did it. My homeboy Sherman was right there, you know. And thank you. I don't know how to do this. My wife is usually with me, and she's the one that keeps me from doing this and helps me with this. But I walk into the bathroom, and I don't know how to do it. This gentleman named Lenny, and thank you so much. Looks great. But I usually have something to read, but I didn't bring my book. So I just want to say thank you for having me. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but you know, my thing is that this program actually works. If you're new here, please stay, get involved, and don't leave. You know, and if you want a life like you never had before, I had to do things that I had never done before, and because I've always been a coward, and it's until I met this God that has given me the courage to face every day, to face y'all, and to admit when I'm wrong and try to correct it. But thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a great day.